This week on ETalk, Carrie teaches us about healthy pumpkin foods, and Grace gives us some history on the pumpkin. We take a look at the evolution of music videos. And Caroline talks baseball with one-on-one host Ryan Ballack. All that and more coming right up.
Hey everyone, and welcome to ETalk, where we bring you everything from LA to Elon. I'm Caroline McSwain, and I'm here with Grace, Ashley, and our guest host, Virginia. Welcome, Virginia.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Before we get started, we have some interesting opinions from our fans on the womb tubers. Take a look.
Katie here, and today we're asking students how they feel about social media's newest craze, WombTube, where expecting parents broadcast their pregnancy results online. So let's get some opinions. I'm here with sophomore Allison. So Allison, what are your thoughts on this whole WombTube thing? Do you think it's too much information?
I think it is. I think it's kind of weird. I think if it's the results you weren't looking for, then you have that online for everyone to see, and I think it's something that should be probably more private. Maybe it's something that you could make a video of but not put on YouTube, I think, if you wanted to save it for like your kids to see later.
And now for a new perspective, Andrew, how do you feel about WombTube?
I personally think it's a little bit too much information, and I think it's kind of disgusting, actually. I know I wouldn't want to watch that of my mom, so I think that it's a little bit too much for me.
All right. Well, we've heard a lot of interesting opinions here. So host, what do you guys think about this topic? Is it too much?
Okay, so pretty interesting. Now that we've heard from the fans, what do you guys think on the womb tube? It's so hard to say. It's like a tongue twister, the womb tube. What do you guys think about this?
No. That's what I think about this. That is just strange, unusual.
Yes.
And, okay, it's, I love watching like those personal videos of like the soldiers coming home.
Right.
The
Or the
proposals,
engagement.
This.
A little more
This
relatable.
Like the way they're going about this is very strange.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded a couple maybe after the fact talking about their story, how they were, struggling to conceive and then sharing it in a different setting, but this is too much,
Who's interested in that? There are these
Right.
random people
Right,
checking their
exactly.
pregnancy tests, like, okay, cool, like,
I know.
nice,
And
you're
they have a
pregnant,
lot
like,
of
great for you,
views.
congratulations,
Yeah. But it
like,
doesn't
I'm not
really
into
have
it.
that many views. Like one of the stories
Right.
that I was watching on it was like, and it even has 100,000 views. Like in
Which is
YouTube.
That's not that many.
In YouTube
ETalk
world.
has like,
Hey, come on.
we'd appreciate that.
In YouTube world, though, these days, that's nothing. You know
Right.
what I mean? And like, what if they record it and it's not the results they wanted? Can you
I know, then
imagine
what
turning around and being
happens?
like, I'm pregnant, I'm 14? You know what I mean?
Do you still post it at that point, or is it just like a failed video?
Yeah, I don't know.
Aren't you not supposed to announce that you're pregnant for like 3 months?
Yes,
that's a really good
good point.
That's so true.
And also, this isn't the medium that someone wants to find out on, sending this to your mom, like, oh, P.S., like, over
Check
at,
out the
YouTube,
here's
like, here's my
maybe
YouTube,
100 other people have, like,
Right.
Right.
It's not personal. Yeah, it's not anything that I'm interested in. But
I think it's very bizarre.
yeah, speaking of kids, a 9-year-old boy successfully managed to sneak through all these different checkpoints and make it onto a Delta airline with no ticket whatsoever. Checkpoints, no ticket, Minneapolis to Las Vegas. And now people are saying, is he a terrorist? What was like behind this? Yeah.
I mean, you never can be too safe
Right.
these days.
No,
that is really scary.
Right,
I
it's
think
alarming.
Yeah, it's very alarming.
Right.
And I think it's super embarrassing for Delta that
Oh,
they
yeah.
let him get through all these checkpoints.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that he could really get on a plane like that.
I think ultimately it was just like an elaborate running away from home parent. 'cause
Right.
it sounds
Yeah,
like
very
he's a troubled
impressive.
kid.
No, he has a
but
troubled kid. He's had
I'm
past
also,
problems.
the sad thing was, I wasn't too surprised when I read this story, because we all, I don't know how often you guys fly, but if you go to an airport, you kind of see like, they're not so hard on kids, understandably, because, the TSA, you don't want to just be all up in a kid's business,
Right.
but
Right.
there's got to be.
They're
some
kind of like,
boundaries.
oh, you're with this
Right.
family. I know, that's the thing. He snuck on,
That's
no
what's
parent
weird. Did he
whatsoever.
just pretend to be with another family? Like, yeah,
Yeah, this is
I'm
my
a-
family.
I'm with them. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Like, did he pack fake luggage and everything? I mean, this must have been a
This is
very
a thought out
intricate
thing.
plan.
Yeah.
And of course, Las Vegas.
Right, Las Vegas is a pretty big destination
Right.
for 9 years old. Like, it's a little
Yeah.
getting ahead of yourself.
Very
So,
ambitious.
I want to know how we did it, because plane tickets are expensive, and I'm
So
going home
true.
this week.
I know,
so-
sneak on.
So true.
Yeah.
No,
Great to
it is
date.
impressive for a 9-year-old, but did you guys see the interview with his dad? I mean, the dad was wearing like a hooded
Right,
sweatshirt.
wouldn't show his face, saying
wouldn't
my
show his
child's
face.
not a terrorist.
Right, but
like-
now the child was taken by Child Protective
Yeah,
Services.
so he's no
and-
longer with his
Yeah,
family.
is no longer
It's
with
a
the
very
parents.
suspicious situation, and
Right.
honestly, I'm flying out tomorrow, and it makes me feel a little unsafe.
Well, no, now hopefully security is going to be really
hope
amped
so.
up.
Right,
So
I
we
mean,
won't have any like
yeah,
thing to worry
anytime
about.
I sit next to a kid on a plane now, I'm going to be like,
Let me see
should
your
you be
ticket.
here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
let me see your ticket.
Well, speaking of, 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds, Chris Brown just announced that he lost his virginity at the age of 8 years old. So what do you guys think about that? I think it is very alarming. Chris
Right.
Brown, he's always giving these, big shock factor announcements. What do you guys think about this? What kind of message do you think this sends to young kids and parents who are trying to, teach their kids abstinence or safe sex?
I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, again, not really surprised. Chris Brown loves having this shock factor.
Right.
I think this might be a stretch, so this might be a little far-fetched, but Drake's album just dropped. We know that they have a rivalry. I'm sure
Right.
that he's just trying to say
Right.
something to get his name back into the
That's
media.
true.
There's
That's
no other
true.
reason
But he's
for him to
also,
just drop this
he's apparently
information.
trying to not be a bad boy anymore. Like he's trying to get over everything with Rihanna, but then to release
this
something
is what
like
he's gonna
this
do.
is like, okay, where are you coming from? What are you trying to what's your new image? You lost your virginity
Right.
at age 8? Oh, right, great start. Here we go,
Yeah,
yeah.
my thing is how he handled it, because honestly, I was repulsed when I heard that.
Right.
And it's more than just not teaching kids to be sexually promiscuous. Like, that is not healthy at that age.
Right.
Physically
Right.
and mentally, and I think that might
Emotionally.
explain a lot of how his life has turned out.
Yeah, that's a really
and
good point.
the way he handled it, I thought was unprofessional and very unsettling.
I mean, the interesting thing is he didn't say, I lost my virginity at 8 and I really regret that and I wish I'd done it differently. What he did say is, I was watching porn at that age and I wanted to be a beast. or
Right, he
something
loved
like that.
it. Yeah,
Right.
he was like, I'm just trying to get all the practice I can or
Right,
whatever.
to
Like,
be
somebody
the
said-
best at it.
Right, like,
ridiculous guy, ridiculous
Yeah, no.
stunt. Speaking of other people who are always in the media stunning
And are
around,
ridiculous.
are ridiculous. Chris and Bruce Jenner have announced that they are separating, that their marriage is over.
About
it is official. She released a statement to Us Magazine, so you know it's legit. And I'm just wondering, do you guys think that their highly publicized life and their reality show and Kris Jenner's talk show had something to do with this split up? I mean, look at all the marital issues that are going on in the Kardashian-Jenner families.
Right.
Like,
Right.
is there a correlation?
I mean, poor Bruce. This guy has been
I
dragged
know.
around like a dog on a leash for years.
Right, for years.
With plastic surgery, so
Exactly.
quite literally.
Exactly.
Can we acknowledge the fact that he's an Olympic athlete, so he deserves this recognition? The girls are
Right.
famous for
I
whatever
know.
their reasons.
I know.
are.
I feel so bad for the guy. I
Right.
feel like Chris treats him like dirt. I'm glad
Yeah.
he's standing up for
Me
himself
too.
and
I
being
think-
like, I'm getting out of here.
Right. I think it's about time. You know what? He's been dragged out through the show. He
Right.
needs to really just be on his own and stand up for himself. He couldn't even get at the golf course in his backyard that he wanted for years.
Give him the golf
Give him the
course.
golf course. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm not really a Kardashian fan per se, but one person I am a fan of is Oprah. And believe it or not, Oprah is having a garage sale. Yes, you heard it right, a garage sale. She is selling her belongings, and the money is going to go to her school in South Africa, where actually we have an Elon student who graduated from that school. So really bringing it back
That's
to
really
Elon.
cool.
And we need to take a road trip because I need to go. I need to go thrift shopping in Oprah's garage.
I'm not sure that would be thrift
Shopping.
shopping.
Right. What do you
Yeah,
get
also,
here?
okay, so it's a garage sale. I feel like this is another kind of publicity thing because really,
Yeah.
it's an auction. It's
Right,
going to
it's
be
an
that.
auction.
It's
Right.
an auction. It's a gala. It's that
Right.
type of event. I guarantee you, Oprah's not going to show up in her overalls like, "Hey guys, check what I got in my truck."
Right. Get
It's
signs
not a
up on
garage
the
sale.
yard.
It's not a
No.
yard
I know.
sale. It's a big
I'm going to
thing.
be honest, Oprah rubs me the wrong way. I think she's a little bit pretentious.
Right.
If you want to give money, to the school or whatever, write them a check. You don't need to make this all about you, Oprah.
Right.
It's not all about you. You already put your face on the cover of your magazine every freaking month. You know what I mean?
Right.
Do something selfless, truly
Well,
selfless.
it makes it seem like that, let me show off all my products. Let me
Right.
show, what I'm done with. That's old for me now. But,
right. Take this old Louis Vuitton bag.
Right.
I don't
Oh,
want
I
this
don't need
anymore.
that.
You
Yeah.
have it.
Okay, I guess I'm going by myself.
Also, is this open to the neighborhood? This is what I'm confused.
it says your biggest fans.
It's going to be at a
Right.
racket club.
Yeah, you
Right.
can't just show up and be like, "I heard there's a
It's a
garage
black
sale
tie
open."
event.
She's going to
yeah.
put oak tag on the staple it to the post.
Little stickers on
Oh gosh. Well, I guess you'll be going by yourself, Ash.
Yeah, sorry.
If anybody wants to come, let me know.
Well, that's all the time we have for now. But up next, Virginia and I get a little health lesson in all things pumpkin flavored. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. When you think of fall, you think of leaves falling, apple picking, and yes, the return of pumpkin flavors. Caroline and I are joined by our health expert, Carrie. So Carrie, what do you have for us today?
Well, I like to do a little eat this, not that when it comes to health tips, because when you're out at a fast food restaurant or anywhere, it's good just to remember, like, this thing is really bad.
Know your
this
options.
thing is a little on the better side.
Yes.
So we have a lot of our pumpkin flavored options here today, and I have it in 3 categories: the breakfast, the coffee, and the dessert, because I feel like those are the 3 categories that we see the pumpkin flavor.
The 3
in.
most important meals of the day:
Yes.
breakfast, coffee, and dessert.
Yes.
My favorite meals. So let's start off with a breakfast. We have some donuts here from Dunkin' Donuts.
They look delicious.
This one is a pumpkin cheesecake donut, and this one is just a regular pumpkin glazed donut. Please go ahead and try them. Give us a little taste test.
You get 2 food groups here: the pumpkin, vegetable, and the cheese, the dairy.
Yeah,
You
you get
may,
the cream
you may
filling.
think that, Caroline, but this donut actually has about 380 calories, 25 grams of sugar, and 20 grams of fat. So this is more of a dessert treat rather than a breakfast. So that is very deceiving.
Wow.
For breakfast, I like to recommend the Thomas Bagel Thins in the pumpkin spice flavor. They're only 110 calories,
sound delish.
less than 3 grams of sugar, and there's like a little smear of light butter or just a little bit of cream cheese.
I heard there's pumpkin cream cheese actually.
Pumpkin
that
cream
might be
cheese.
a little good.
But, the thing with that, just use a little, not a big smear.
Yeah,
because,
right.
because then you're back in this category.
Right.
But that is something where you can get a little pumpkin in for breakfast for a little bit less.
Yes.
Next, we have our coffee. Now, I know I love to go for the pumpkin spice latte. That is just the mark of the fall. You're out there in the brisk wind, and then
like
you got
this past week, it was perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah.
However, if you go to Starbucks and you get the grande pumpkin spice latte,
And they even have it at Acorn.
they have it at Acorn too.
Yep.
And you get it all the way. It comes with the 2% milk. It has all the flavorings and the whipped cream. You're talking about something that has more sugar, more fat, and just as many calories as this donut.
So you're just drinking a
So
donut.
you're drinking a donut basically with that, with 380
Not
calories,
trying to do that.
49 grams of sugar, and 13
wow.
grams
Oh my
of fat. That's what you're packing on with this baby.
Wow,
So
that's a once a season
yeah,
drink.
once maybe every 5 years.
Yeah.
Instead, I recommend going to the grocery store for much less money, getting a creamer that is pumpkin spice, and those are only about 30 calories, 1 gram of fat, and you put in your black coffee, and basically you're drinking water.
And that only has
nutrition-wise.
5 grams of sugar too.
Yeah, 5 grams of sugar.
Wow. So much better,
So much better for you. Better start
Cheaper.
to the day. Keeps maybe a little stomach ache at bay that you would be getting with this.
And you could maybe even just drink that straight.
I wouldn't suggest that.
Could be a little.
All right, so last but not least, we're moving on to desserts, my favorite category.
Yum.
And I don't have it here today, but the absolute worst pumpkin dessert that you can get in the history of the United States. Maybe that's not true. But
Maybe every country.
Everywhere.
but the absolute worst thing out there on the market that we all like to get is the pumpkin pecan cheesecake at Cheesecake Factory.
Oh, wow.
That has 780 calories, 57 grams of sugar, and 46 grams of fat.
Those calories is a meal and a half. Wow.
All of that is like a lot more than you should have in a day, other than calories. The sugar and fat is way over what you should have an entire day.
Wow.
So instead, something that's very surprising that I found were that at McDonald's, they have pumpkin pies. And each one only has 240 calories, 10 grams of sugar, and 12 grams of fat. That saves you, if you get that instead of the cheesecake, that saves you over 500 calories and almost 50 grams of sugar.
Wow.
Definitely the better option.
So go ahead and try
those.
those, see if it's worth it. A great way to have a pumpkin pie on the go. That's from McDonald's. They usually come in those little packs, so you can eat it while you're driving
On
if
the
you want
go.
to.
So you could eat dinner at Cheesecake Factory and then drive through McDonald's for dessert.
Great idea. Great idea.
And be obese at the same time.
No, I think if you want to give yourself a little treat, that is the way to go.
That is good.
Thank you so much, Carrie, for showing all this stuff. Now, I know I'm certainly going to be eating a little bit healthier now that I know everything. We're going to throw it over to Grace, and she is going to tell us some things that probably shouldn't taste like pumpkin. Grace?
Well, it's that time of year again. The leaves are changing colors, the Uggs are being brought out of storage, and people everywhere are turning to those they love and saying, let's get a pumpkin spice latte. Yes, it is the one time of year that gourds become trendy and leggings take the place of pants with zippers. Have you ever thought how weird it is that we carve pumpkins and put them on display? It is in no way acceptable to carve and display any other sort of food on your doorstep, particularly with the purpose of frightening others. According to Wikipedia, pumpkins are 90% water, making them a startlingly close relative to humans. You know what else is frightening? That floozy Cinderella who casually pimped herself out for a one-night stand with a pumpkin. At least that is how I remember the story. More on pumpkins. Hundreds of years ago, before pumpkins were known as pumpkins, they were known by the Greek word peepon, meaning cooked by the sun. I didn't write a joke for that, but it's pretty weird, right? Hey, what rhymes with pumpkin? Country bumpkin. And as it turns out, not much rhymes with pumpkin. Pumpkin is an especially exclusive food. It has a very well-defined inner circle of foods and products with which it hangs out with. If you're not bread or coffee, you can't sit with us. Nobody craves the refreshing taste of pumpkin toothpaste or a whiff of that strong pumpkin spice deodorant you slathered on. Pumpkins are really just the Regina George of foods. On Wednesdays, we wear pink. And in October, we eat pumpkins. So, if you haven't already, pick yourself up the perfect little peepon and carve the face of a person you hate into it, then light it on fire and display it for weeks to come. It's the one time of year it's socially acceptable, nay, encouraged. I'm Grace Baldridge, wishing all you ETalkers a happy Pumpkin Month.
With the recent release of some of the most scandalous music videos in the history of music, we thought we'd take a look at the evolution of music videos and where the industry is headed. Here with me tonight is Ashley and our music expert Taylor.
Hello.
So ladies, let's get started with something that's getting a lot of people's attention. Miley Cyrus's music video for Wrecking Ball. What are your thoughts?
Well, I know that we've been talking about Miley a lot lately, but I think that's what she's trying to do, is that she's trying to get her name out there. And I mean, Wrecking Ball, I think, is a really good song. It's got a lot of meaning behind it, but she knows that just a song with good meaning isn't going to get her name out there, and it's not going to be like, oh, look, Miley wrote such a good song, so let's get naked in a music video and
take it to the next level.
Take it to the
next
next level and
working
see
for
where
her.
it
I
goes
mean,
from
she's
there.
getting so much attention. She's being interviewed by all these people, so she's obviously making the money, which I guess is her end goal.
But you know what? You just said that a song with good meaning isn't going to get attention unless you take your clothes off, essentially. And that is the biggest problem. Because Miley is willing to do these scandalous things, artists who are not willing to exploit themselves are being overshadowed by her ridiculous nature.
This has been going on for so long, though.
It goes all the way back to Britney Spears. Think about the 90s. She was doing similar stuff.
And Christina Aguilera especially, she had a whole album called Dirty, and that's all she did was dress like that.
Right. And I'm not okay with that either, to be completely honest. Yes, I get it's your music, you can do what you want, but I think as a society, we just bank on this theory that sex sells. And yes, it does, but let's not let it overshadow certain things. Don't get me wrong, she's allowed to do what she wants. I don't agree with what they're doing, but that's their own independent opinion. But we as consumers are encouraging this, and we're the ones that the music video has millions and billions of views. So it's really our problem that we're promoting it.
Well, should we be encouraging non-acts of this craziness, and supporting more conservative artists?
What I'm trying to say is, let's judge the music for the music. Because if you watch Miley Cyrus's performances, they're not. If you just took the vocals, they're not on pitch. She's not hitting all the notes. The craft isn't there.
I mean, I feel like that's where she wants to go as an artist. She wants to break away from this
pitchy?
No, she wants to break away from this Hannah Montana thing, because she was this cute little Hannah Montana person, and everybody's like, that's how they're going to see her forever, and she doesn't want that.
My next problem is that the idea of growing up has now become sexualized. That even they said it with Selena, her all grown up album, really, because everything in that album is a sexual innuendo. Why does it have to be to grow up you need to exploit yourself? Which, if you want to do that, fine, but let's not make this a standard that if you want to break away from this image, you need to follow the 12-step program.
Or if you want to be successful, you need to be doing X, Y, and Z.
And you know what? If those artists do that, I can't stop them. But like I said, they're overshadowing people who are really working on their craft.
It's not necessarily everyone who's doing that that's popular. Like, if you look at Jared Leto, he tried to break away from being seen as an actor all the time, and he doesn't have to do that. Like, he doesn't have to be a sex symbol to do that. He just has to produce this really good music.
But I would say that he is definitely being overshadowed by Miley. I think, obviously, way more people know Miley than him. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe he should be more known.
But see, it's different groups of people, like it's different audiences too, because people who listen to Miley aren't listening to Jared Leto. So like he could be just as popular as Miley, but not necessarily for the same people. So I feel like I think
if we're talking on a societal recognition, Miley takes the cake.
Well, definitely. But I'm just saying that doesn't make him any less popular than she is.
I would say that she is. If you even look at how many records she's selling, there's no arguing. She's number one.
Right, but if you're taking just voices alone, we really can't take out the music video aspect anymore. So how are artists going to be able to get the attention they need without having a sexual music video?
Well, you know what? Like, look at somebody like Lorde, who's coming into the industry, and she just released that single Royals, and it's really taking off. And she did it in a way that was interesting and cool, and made people be like, "Who is this girl?" Almost not like, "Who is this girl?" because she's hot, you know?
Because they appreciated
her voice.
It wasn't
sex appeal. It was her talent and her different take on something that hadn't been done in a while. So yes, I think it's possible, but again, still, this sex sells thing is going to trump all things, and until we stop promoting that, artists that are really talented are not going to get the recognition they deserve.
Well, I mean, to an extent, you're right, but at the same time, there are all these other artists that are popular. Like, look at One Direction; they're not doing anything sexy to get attention.
Right, but also look at the Jonas Brothers. They're not doing anything sexy, and they just
well, you know, I am a Jonas. You know what? That's very interesting that you bring this up because I am a big Jonas Brothers fan.
Yes,
Let me just say that. And their new album, yes, they're much older now, but it was a little sexed up a little bit, and it's not doing as well as their past stuff.
No, it's not.
That shows something, and they just canceled their tour 2 days ago, which was supposed to launch today.
Right.
And so that's a different topic because, you know, they did take a hiatus, and I don't know if it directly correlates with what we're talking about
and
here.
there's 3 of them. It's a little bit harder to figure out.
I think with bands, it does become more difficult because you're working with a lot of people, and it's not as easy as Miley just, you know, cutting off her hair and sexing up her image, you know?
All right, quickly, each of you name one person you want your kids, grandkids to think of like a revolutionary musician from our time.
Definitely 30 Seconds to Mars, just because I think that their music videos are so different. Like we were talking about how music videos have to be sexy, and I think that's what I like about 30 Seconds to Mars music videos is they're basically short films.
Right.
And they don't necessarily have to be
stories.
sexy, they tell a story, and you know, they kind of have this cryptic meaning, and I think that's revolutionary just because it's driving music videos away from being this short little thing that doesn't, it's just like a bunch of people dancing around in their underwear, which I mean, that's fine if they want to do that because you know, that's fine. Like I don't care if Miley does that, like that's her own thing, but I'm just saying this is a really cool thing that he's doing. And he's directing them too, and I think that's a cool approach with artists too. I think that they should try and direct, like, you know, kind of have a hand in their music videos.
All right, let's quickly get Ashley. Who do you have? One person?
This one's kind of coming out of left field over here, but I would actually say Mumford & Sons. I really think they're bringing back this folk rock sound to the industry that is really becoming popular, and I think a lot of artists are taking after them, and it's going to be the biggest thing.
Right, well, we'll have to see what happens in the future, but you know what? I'm just really hoping that the Jonas Brothers are going to come back. But don't go anywhere because up next we have Caroline talking to our baseball expert on how to impress your man while watching the playoffs.
Was that line actually?
Welcome back. I'm here with baseball expert Ryan Ballack. And Ryan, I have to say the playoffs are here, and I think we need a quick basic tutorial for all the girls out there who are watching games and need a little tutorial. So what is the reason that you're here? What makes you such an expert on baseball?
Well, I don't have any credibility saying that I'm like technically a baseball expert.
All right,
but
go ahead and leave.
sports-
Why are you here?
No, but baseball's been a big part of my life ever since I was a little kid. I've always been watching baseball, always been keeping track of statistics, watching games just throughout my life. It's just a great sport, and I've just been very involved in it for the last, I guess, 20 years now, and I'm only 21, so.
Very nice. So that first year, you weren't really a baseball fan.
No.
So is your favorite team the Mets, I can assume?
My favorite team is the Mets. Unfortunately, they're not very good this year.
That's okay. You're not a fair weather fan.
Exactly. I still watch my team play. They try.
Right.
They fail, but when they succeed, I'm very happy.
Makes it even better.
Exactly.
Exactly. I'm impressed by that.
Thank you.
So baseball is your favorite sport, you would say?
Definitely.
What would you say is second, third?
I like basketball a lot. I like
Okay.
football too. I don't know. I'm just a big sports guy, so
Okay.
any sort of competition, I'm a big fan of.
And I'm gathering the major leagues over college baseball, like you like the major leagues
Yeah, for
better?
sure. I mean, Elon has a great baseball team. We actually made it to the College World Series, which was a pretty big feat for Elon last season. So they're going to have a really good year this year, but that doesn't start up until the spring.
Okay.
But so for now, we can stick with our professional baseball.
Okay, so the major league teams are playing right now.
Yes.
And the playoffs are happening.
Right.
But the college teams don't play until later in the year.
In the spring.
Okay, so that's good for you, so you can sort of space it
Yeah,
all out and watch
exactly.
baseball all the time.
Right.
Okay, so who's playing in the playoffs right now?
All right,
I hate to say I don't know.
No, that's fine. So we had a bunch of teams. We had about, I think, 12 teams originally in the playoffs. We're down to 5 right now.
Okay.
And right now, there's a game tonight, which will get get it down to 4 games. And tonight, 4 teams, excuse me. Tonight we have the Tigers playing the, hold on, I'm just totally drunk. The Athletics, who are from
Okay.
Oakland. So the Detroit
Okay.
Tigers versus the Oakland Athletics. The
Okay.
Tigers were a really good team, and Oakland has stunk for like the last 20 years, but they're finally good this year.
Oh, good, good.
And then the winner of that is going to play the Boston Red Sox. You guys know the Boston Red Sox.
I've
Dustin
heard of them, I
Pedroia,
think,
and everybody
yeah.
on the Red Sox right now has this ridiculously long beard going on, and they just won their game, and they all went crazy with champagne celebrations. It was nuts.
Are they finally going to shave, or they're going to
No,
keep that up?
they will not shave, I'm sure,
Okay.
until the playoffs are officially over. And
So
then,
that must be good luck.
yeah, I guess
Okay.
so. And then in the National League, we have the Dodgers, who just beat your Braves.
Oh, no. Yeah,
Unfortunately.
I'm a Braves fan.
And they're playing the Cardinals, who just beat the Pirates last night. Should be pretty awesome. Dodgers got a lot of crazy guys on their team. This guy, Yasiel Puig, he's a rookie from Cuba, and he's just been unbelievable this year, hitting home runs at a ridiculous rate. A lot of exciting stuff going on in baseball, a lot of cool names, a lot of big-time stars going on in baseball. It's good.
Yeah.
Even this guy on the back of my jersey, he might not be on the Mets anymore, still in the playoffs, still dominating, so lots going on.
So who are you pulling for to win the whole thing?
I don't really know. I mean, I'm just watching it at this point. There's not a team I really dislike, and there's not a team I really like. I really would have liked to see the Pirates win, because
Okay.
the Pirates is the first time in 21 years that they've been over 500. So a team
What does
has
that
more
mean, over
wins
500?
than losses for the
Okay.
season. So
Okay.
we're 21, 22 years old. So
Right.
if we were born, anybody who was a Pirates fan that is our age had never seen their team have a winning season ever.
That is so
So
sad.
that's horrible.
I
And
feel
they
like, so
finally
are there
made
any
it this
fans
year.
left? I mean-
Pittsburgh went crazy. The whole city was wearing black, supporting their team. It was great. Unfortunately, they got knocked out last night by the Cardinals.
Oh, no.
So can't pull for them anymore. But there still are some good teams.
I mean,
to
I'm
pull
impressed
for.
that you can say there are Pirates fans left.
Yes,
you know,
there
even
are,
if they didn't-
surprisingly. Well, they've had the Penguins and the Steelers, who've been very good over the last 10 years to make them feel okay
Yeah.
about the whole Pirates not being so good thing.
Well, I told you I was a Braves fan, and I think I'm a pretty, average baseball fan. I
Right.
know there are, the bases and the home plate. I know there's a bat and a ball. But what would take me to the next level? What are some terms I could use?
All right.
Some players I should know? What would really impress people if I name dropped and used things?
Well, the best player in the league right now is this guy, Miguel Cabrera.
Miguel Cabrera,
yeah,
okay.
And he
I'll
won,
start using that.
And he won the Triple Crown last year.
Okay.
Which
I
is something
thought the
that
Triple Crown was like a horse
It's
race.
also a horsing
Okay,
thing. It's also a
okay.
horse. So you're on
See,
the,
I
you're on
knew
the right
that,
track.
I knew that.
But this is a feat that has not been accomplished since 1967 by this
Okay.
guy on the Red Sox named Carl Yastrzemski.
And what is the Triple Crown in baseball?
It's when you have the most home runs in the league, the most RBIs in the league, and the
What's-
best
what's
batting
the-
average.
what's the-
I'll get there. Home runs, balls over the park, or balls
Okay.
over the fence. RBIs is runs batted in. So say there's a guy on first and there's a guy
Right.
on second.
Right.
You hit a home run, then two of those guys come in and you scored, so that's 3 RBIs.
Okay.
So it's just like runs batted in. It's the guys
Okay.
you knock in
Okay.
without hitting a home
I can
run.
follow that. I can
Yeah.
follow that. Okay. Very impressive.
And then, well, another terminal, I guess when you're watching the game, you'll see these 3 numbers that come up before every commercial, and that's the runs scored for
Okay.
each team. There's there's 3 columns. There's the runs scored.
And that's like
it's
the
the amount of
score.
hits they've gotten, and then the
Okay.
amount of errors they've committed that game. So if you see
Okay.
those 3 numbers, runs scored, hits, and errors, so you'll kind of know what's going on. At least you can keep
Okay.
yourself in the loop of things.
Okay. Well, the most important question, the final question. What is your favorite food to get at the baseball stadium?
Ooh, favorite food. I love peanuts, I love hot dogs,
Okay.
but I'm always a nachos kind of guy. You always get more bang for your buck with the nachos and cheese. It's just a money combination at the ballpark.
Really?
Oh yeah,
I
I've been
feel
having
like-
it since I was a little kid.
Really,
All
I
about
like
it.
I like the frozen lemonade.
Oh,
You know,
those, yes, it's
oh,
delicious.
Those are the best.
Yes,
So
especially when it's so
refreshing.
hot in the summer night. Oh, nothing better than a frozen lemonade.
Okay, now you are here on ETalk. This isn't a sports show. This
Yes.
is ETalk. And I have to admit, we like to know the gossip. Is there
Okay.
any gossip going on in baseball? The one thing I hear about is all the steroids and
Yeah.
all that.
That's a
Yeah.
really big topic.
So tell us what's the juicy gossip going on in the baseball
well,
world.
I mean, juicing is actually
Oh,
the
there you go.
terminology
I didn't even mean to do
used
that
for
pun.
steroids, and we've seen a lot of players they're all coming from all different parts of the world, so we can't really have great background checks on these players. And some people are using performance-enhancing drugs, which clearly make them better at baseball.
Right.
And we've had players who've been suspended for 50 games. Alex Rodriguez, who's
Yeah.
a big-time name, might be suspended for
Right.
the rest of his
But
career.
they can still play when they're suspended. A-Rod was still playing,
He was
wasn't
still playing, and he was waiting until he actually had his hearing. It's all confusing. And a guy, Johnny Peralta, who was doing
Okay.
really well, got suspended in the middle of the season this year, suspended for 50 games. You think that's ridiculous. He cheated. He shouldn't be allowed to come back.
Right.
Is now starting tonight in the playoffs for the Tigers and is playing a huge role for the Tigers. So
Well, I'm
there's
sure
some
that'll be
juicy
very
gossip.
helpful.
There's a little something for you.
Well, I'm glad we could hear the gossip. Ryan, thank you so much
No
for being
problem.
here
It's
today. I
fun.
feel like a new woman. I can really go out there and wow everyone with my
Good.
baseball knowledge. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter for the latest ETalk updates. Until next time, this is ETalk.